are back with Dr. Suzanne Miller from Cone Health Center for Women's Healthcare, talking about what you need to know about menopause. And so we're going to start here. How can diet and exercise help with some relief?
Definitely exercise because it actually help the some of the symptoms, including hot flashes, and can help with night sweats. Women who have a lower body fat content tend to actually deal with menopausal symptoms better, so they have less issues with hot flashes. Certainly, lower sugar diet helping to prevent diabetes, maintaining normal body weight, lower fat diets can all help with some of the other symptoms that we see around the time of menopause.
And studies show that some women deal with brain fog and shifts in mood during menopause. What causes this specifically?
Yeah, specifically, it comes from the rapid change of hormones and the influence that that has on something in the brain we call neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals that go between the neurons in the brain, and that is affected by the hormonal changes, and that's what causes the brain fog that women experience around the time of menopause.
How can they manage that better when it comes to their focus and then mental health?
It's a good question, and it's not always an easy answer because estrogens really help, but estrogens are not always the right answer for every woman. So those things that also help with mental acuity, working word games, reading, keeping your brain really active. But sometimes women need to also create new structures that help them with memory. I'll give a personal example. I keep a calendar and I keep lists for everything now in a way that I didn't used to, because I've found that my memory's not quite as sharp as it used to be. So sometimes it also you need to develop some other structures, not just medications that'll help with your memory.
Absolutely. What about hormone therapy and what should we know about it?
So this is probably the most common conversation I have around menopause with women. The most common question is estrogen going to help me, and what are the risks? So there was a pretty large study back about 20 years ago called the Women's Health Initiative. We would call it a landmark study. And a lot of women stopped hormones back 20 years ago because of that study. There were some concerns about risks with heart disease and both breast cancer. So in that time since the Women's Health Initiative, the studies continued. We've had continued updates from that study. And some of the things 20 years ago are not quite as significant as they were thought at that time. So women who have a uterus need to use estrogen and progesterone. Women who've had a hysterectomy can use estrogen alone. There are a little bit more risks with estrogen and progesterone together, probably because there's two hormones. Um, the hormone replacement therapy that's commonly used, it does really help with almost all the symptoms of menopause, but we do need to be aware of specific risks, which can be cardiovascular disease, stroke, clot formation, and also breast cancer. So estrogen is not the answer for every single woman.
We have about 1 minute left, but that goes into my next question, like, is it recommended for everyone?
Yeah, it is not. So if I had somebody who already had cardiovascular disease, for example, maybe had a stent that had been placed to help keep the vessels in the heart open, someone who'd already had a stroke, someone who'd had a blood clot in the lung called a pulmonary emboli, they are not good candidates for estrogen.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We have about 20 seconds. Anything else that you'd like to add?
I think that the most important thing to remember about menopause is that it is a spectrum of symptoms, and that women are on all along the spectrum. There are lots of things that we can do to help with menopausal symptoms, and don't hesitate to talk to your doctor. Um, and Dr. Google did not go to med school.
That is right. Well, thank you so much. Well, again, if you did, I just lost my train of thought because that caught me off guard. Dr. Google, I've never really heard of that before, but missed this entire conversation. You can find it on WFMYnews2.com.